Well, hi there, folks. This is your host, ID Jester. Welcome back to another look at Sword of the Stars 2. And we spent the last couple episodes just going over the basics. Probably another episode here where we're going to go just over the basics, how this game operates, how it plays. So if you're looking just for gameplay footage, you want to see the game in action, what's happening. Probably not going to get to that this episode. We're going to talk about our treasury, talk about research, we're going to talk about colony management. So let's get to it and see where we go. So hopefully you watched the last couple episodes. Talked about basics about how to set up missions and basically how it's opposite a normal game, and where you click your unit and you send it out on a mission. In this case, you're going to click your destination, you're going to then create the mission, and then you're going to choose who is going to be doing that mission. Definitely fleet management in this game is a big thing, obviously, a 4X strategy game. So you definitely want to understand those concepts so you have a good grasp of what you should and should not be doing. Again, I am certainly not a 100% expert on this game, so everything I say, I might be able to give you some more information if it's been altered or changed. If anybody out there is watching this video is a Sword of the Stars 2 expert, and you want to give your input, please do so in the comments below. Alright, so let's look at colony management. So if we click on our systems, any one of our systems we own, we can actually click on the planet, which will bring up our colony management screen. So you can see this is a developed colony, how much income it's making, our economic rating, our life support costs, our initial industrial output. It shows whether we are focusing in on construction, this is going to be creating new things, or trade, which is going to be sending things off to other civilizations for trade purposes and for income through trade. You can adjust this slider, obviously, however you see fit. But normally, until you get trade, you probably just want to leave that all the way over on construction. The next thing here is over harvesting. So you can basically force the people of the planet to harvest the resources more than they should, and it will obviously increase your industrial output. You can see as I slide this over, our industrial output is going up, but you notice there's a penalty to play for that, and that is the permanent resources that you will lose off of this system. So you can see as we go up and as we spend turns, we would lose 6 resources permanently every turn if we left it on this, is from what my understanding of how that operates. So obviously the more you over harvest, you can lose your resources quickly, and then when you're done over harvesting, you will notice that your industrial output is not nearly as much as it is if you just leave it on the default. You also see the morale of your populace, and also what your current populace is made of. In our case, it's Takras, and your imperial population and your civilian population. And of course, there is a slider to increase the upper limits of your civilian population. So you can increase this, your population, but what will end up happening, from what I understand, is the more people you get, your biosphere, which is basically your ability to live on the planet, will go down. So you definitely want to manage that. And we can investigate this a little bit farther as we play through the game and try to adjust this slider and see what penalties we can occur if we start getting some extra citizens on there. A Virosphere, which our biosphere number is 6,281 right now. I'm not sure exactly how that number comes into play, but like I said, it's something we can investigate. And last but not least, you can decide how much of your construction is going into ships, and you can see as we move our construction up towards the trade, our amount that we're putting into ship construction will go down. So obviously in the beginning of the game you want to keep that construction all the way over, and you want to focus in on obviously ship construction. So that's basically the economy of each of your planets, and of course they're each individual planets. If we click on Webster over here and we click on our system, and there you'll see totally different numbers here. And again, we're going to focus on the construction, ship construction. We're going to kind of leave that at 50% right now. We're going to focus in on getting as much industrial output as we can without over harvesting, because we don't need that right now. And of course, gamma system, same thing, blah blah blah. So that's basically what you want to do. Is you want to see, you can see this system's giving us a really good industrial output there, 9,353 compared to our other system over here, which is only giving us 5,000. So obviously getting this system over here up and running as soon as possible would be great to start cranking out some ships, because they have a really good industrial output. So we can build things here probably twice as fast as we can over here in Altera. So that's the colony management. Now let's look at the empire management. The way we can get to the empire management is just click on this little pie chart up here. So the pie chart basically breaks down your economy into little pie wedges here, just like what's that game? Trivial Pursuit, the little pies that fit in the little pie piece there. And each little section is a part of the pie, and you can adjust how much of that is going into that part of the pie. So you can see when you make adjustments, your little par chart is over here. So the savings this turn is going to be how much you're going to make at the end of the turn. You can see over here is our basic information sheet, which shows you how much it costs to run your government, how much you're putting into research, your total expenditures, your trade income, and how much you start with, and then how much you are projected to save. So right now we currently have 500,000. That's what we start the game with. So we can see we're going to have 5,430 or $543,888 at the end of this, until we make some adjustments here. So the first thing is your taxes here in the middle bottom. You can see all the different colonies you own and how much they're currently making you. So obviously our home system's making us a boatload of money. And of course, if you adjust your taxes up or down, that will adjust how much your total income is going to be. And you can see the number over here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. Let's see here. Let's go down to 4 on our taxes right now. Of course, the lower your taxes, the higher the morale is of your people. Expenses are broken down in this chart over here on the left-hand side. You have your colony developments, your fleet maintenance, your station maintenance, corruption, and your debt interests. And your ship invoices, your station invoices, and your colony costs, which we haven't looked at any of these yet, so they're obviously blank. Total population, your biosphere, average morale, your economy rating, your base, how many bases you have, how many fleets you have, and how many total ships you have. Top right hand corner shows your research, how much you're putting into research. This is how much you're saving after you make all your adjustments. This is your stimulus, any extra money that you wish to put into doing certain things. And then this is your security operations over here in the top left-hand corner. Probably the most important thing is you want to make sure that your security is high enough that it is covering all of your corruption. You see, when I go below our line here, our corruption is currently set at 0. The more I put into it, the more intel and the counterintelligence I can get from my enemies and such. But if you go below what your security level should be, you can see you're going to start running into corruption, and that's the black piece of pie there. a little slice of black there. So you definitely want to keep your security at the level where you don't have to worry about any kind of corruption in your system. Having any extra in there is only going to give you better intel and counterintelligence. You can see that when I move up my intelligence, my counterintelligence goes down because I only have so much to spend on that. So you can keep them 50-50, or if you want to find out more about your enemies and worry less about what they can steal from you or take from you or find out about from you, you can adjust these sliders as need be. Operations, I'm sorry, but I don't even know what operations does, and it doesn't seem like, let's see, if I get extra, can I? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what operations does, so we'll have to look into finding that out. So definitely adjust your security measures so that it's at 0 or at least at 0 or above. Next thing is your stimulus. Again, this is extra money that you can put into mining, colonization, and trade to get any one of those aspects to work better. Obviously, in the beginning of the game, colonization is going to be your most important thing as you start spending money and ships and time trying to colonize new places. The more I put into this, you can see it's going to give me more into putting into colonization, but of course it's going to subtract from how much I'm going to be saving this turn. So if I crank this down to 0, you will notice that my total projected savings goes down based upon how much my stimulus goes up. So if you want to stimulate your colonization or your mining or your trade, you definitely want to put some extra money into that there. And of course that might adjust how much you need to have in securities, because you're basically spending more, you're having more people do it, you're having more time, more resources into it. So projected savings, so you can kind of base your idea of how much money you want to try to save each turn, so you can start to build up. Because as we look, a lot of things are going to start costing some money, especially when we start looking at fleets and we start looking at designing new ships, which could cost upwards of $1 million or maybe $1.5 million. So you might want to start saving up to get some extra ships and getting some extra savings there for your empire. But of course you can also balance this with research, which we're going to show you now. So once you make your adjustments here, you can go back and click the back button here. We go back to our main screen. So up at the top left hand corner here, you can see our little empire leader here. We haven't looked at research, but we're going to start looking at research right now, because this is going to also play into how our little pie chart comes into play. So we click on research. You can just click on this little spinning disc, which has a big question mark right now because we're not currently researching anything. When you are researching something, you'll see a little circle start to surround it. And when your projected time of completing your research will happen, it can be several turns ahead of time, or it could be several turns past time. So it's kind of randomized when you will actually learn your new project for your research. You can also open the research by clicking this little beaker here that keeps blinking at me because it's like, hey stupid, don't forget your research. So click on that. We will go to the research screen. The research screen is really, really cool because, number one, from what I understand, each game is randomized in what technologies you will actually receive in the game, which I find it really cool because unlike, say, Civilization 4 or any other of the turn-based games where you do research, you kind of get a process down where you build a temple, then you build a settler, then you build a worker, etc., because you have access to all the different technologies. In this game it's different because you have many different research paths to go down, as you can see as I'm flying through them here. And each time you play the game, it's going to be different because we currently have research in fusion warheads. You can see what it is here. From your main research, you will have yellow lines, which go up to other new research, and you also have these flashing blue lines. The yellow lines represent research that you know about that you can do. So if we wanted to do fusion mines, we just click on Research Tech and we can start doing that. The blue lines represent theories that hey, you know, if we combine radioactive gel with some plutonium isotope, we might be able to create a fusion warhead. And so what you want to do then is study the feasibility to find out whether or not you will actually have access to that research. Not only that, but there might be things above here that you don't know about until you get to actually research this. So there's a lot involved with the research tree here. As you can see, this gauze cannon is totally different than what I had last time. The gauze cannon basically had several that went out to the left and several that went out to the right that were all yellow. In this case, I got one green line that goes up to this one, which we've already researched, and this one, which we already researched, but all we have is theories to go through now. So this is really going to be interesting to find out. Let's see, let's go on. We got terraforming bacteria, so we can look at environmental tailoring. Allows you to genetically modify the psychology of your colonists to improve population growth and optimize terraforming on alien worlds. This increases population growth and terraforming efficiency. That sounds like a really good option. It's going to take 23 turns, and yep, that'll help our terraforming and our population. We have some polysilicate alloys. We can look at some FTL, faster than light transportation. Wow, this is different too. I remember this because I was researching FTL in my last game, and it was not like this. I like that, the fact that I don't remember all of these FTL combat algorithms. I didn't have that last time. Commerce rating, I don't remember that. Advanced sensors, I think I remember advanced sensors. And subspace spy beam, I don't remember that either. So that's interesting. That's really cool because you get totally different options every time. FTL administration, FTL economics, faster than light communication and travel to facilitate efficient trade systems between friendly worlds. Alright. Cruiser construction allows the construction of cruisers. It's going to take 23 turns. Combat drones. Shield technology. Wow, look at that. We only have theories. We don't have anything we know for sure. So you might spend 46 turns studying the feasibility, and then may go, yeah, no, we can't do that. And so you don't have access to that, and you spend 46 turns doing it. That's wild talents. Wild talents are your psionics. Hyperfields allows us to faster small increases, and there's nothing there. Wow. Okay. Cyborg command system. This is our cybernetics. Our energy weapons. Lots of different choices here. Looks like we already know UV lasers. We already know plasma cannons. We can definitely look at fusion cannons, which is going to take a while to get there. Heavy combat lasers, or the X-ray lasers. Torpedoes. Energy technology for what is this, fusion faster ships, I'm assuming. Small increase in range. Okay. Wow. Alright, well, let's start off with something simple here. Let's just go with terraforming bacteria. We will then learn how to environmental tailoring for 23 turns. We will research.
This may be the egg we need to crack, Vakona.
Alright, so you see how long it's going to take up here, the current progress. You can boost your research, or you can cancel it if you change your mind. I will go back and show you something else as well for this. So we know it's going to take 23 turns to research that, but we haven't looked at all of it. You can see our little phase disk is no longer question marks here. It's now showing us that we have a research. This shows you our Imperial Treasury, which we start with the turn of 500,000. You will notice the pink is all the money we're spending on our government and corruption and spying and all that stuff. And then the green over here is for the research. You will notice there's a little graph in here that we can adjust up or down, and it will adjust how much is going into our allotted amount for our empire, and how much is going into research. You can see here, just by sliding this bar over a little bit, I took it from 24 turns down to 20 turns. I could crank it over a little bit farther, and I could do 18 turns. But if we go back into our pie chart, you will notice we are no longer making as much money. We're only making 33,000 as opposed to whatever we were making last time. So it's kind of a balancing act in how much you're spending on your research and how much you're actually putting into your economy. Alright, so 18 turns. Let's take it back up to 20 turns here. And 19 turns. Like I said, sometimes it'll be a little slightly less in time, and sometimes it'll be slightly more. So this is our research screen, which we just looked at. This is our design screen. We're going to look at that here in a minute. Here's our diplomacy manager. This is basically how you communicate with other factions out here. This is our station manager. Right now we only have one station. We have access to all the planets. We have our population on all our colonies, which we can manage here through this screen here, as opposed to clicking on them individually, which is obviously a good thing. And then we can summarize all of our fleets here. Here's all the different fleets we have, and you can see how long it's going to take them to actually complete their mission. So the first survey fleet is going to take 10 turns to fly out there, survey the system. It tells you the admiral that's with them, how many command points they have, how far they can go, endurance of 3. Construction fleet has endurance of 5. I believe that's how far they can go, is endurance. Colonization fleet only has an endurance of 2. Let's see, what else does it have? Anything important? But you basically want to, you can monitor and see, make sure all your fleets are doing something before you're done with your turn. Down here along the bottom edge, you will notice it'll have your turn number and any of the special events that happened. If you got new admirals that have joined up with you, or if you colonize planets and stuff. You also have little messages that pop up over here in the corner. You can also display the event history by clicking that button. Toggles the tutorial notes on or off, and of course your menu. Once you're completed your turn, you can hit the end turn button over here in the bottom left hand corner, and of course it shows you how many turns you currently have. This is the manages the star map view mode. Okay, we'll have to look at some of these later. And of course there's a chat box where you can actually see people talking in global chat, maybe asking questions or communicating about what's going on or anything. So we'll just close that out. Alright, so last thing we really have to look at, which we haven't looked at yet, is designing the fleets. And this is going to be another very important part of the actual gameplay. I'm not going to actually design a fleet right now, or a brand new ship. We're going to save that for another episode, I think, because that's just kind of involved in what's going on and everything. But basically what I'm going to do now is go back into, I want to create a new fleet and show you how to do that, because that's important as well, obviously. So we've got one colonization fleet, we have 2 survey fleets and we have 1 construction fleet. So the question remains, do we want to add another construction fleet? Do we want to add another colonization fleet? Or do we want to add another survey fleet? Or do we not want to add any kind of fleet? Do we want to add a attack fleet or defense fleet or anything like that? So, of course, it's going to be based upon your current situation. My current situation is that I've got, in Webster here, I've got several different planets that I'm thinking about colonizing. This one here is a size 2. It's got a low development cost, only 11,000. I'm already trying to colonize this planet here, which is only 769 development cost, size 3 planet. I've also got a pretty nice system out here in Altera. So how long is it going to take me to get all of these system colonized right off the bat? So I might want to think about creating a new colonization fleet. You can send it out here and colonize this Altera, and our other colonization fleet can concentrate on colonizing the 2 worlds that are in this system currently. And the other question is, okay, well, is that more important, or do we want to, create another survey fleet and see if we can get some more surveys of the system so we can try to grab as much territory before the other guys grab it. And so it's a tough decision on what we want to do. Do we want to spend the money? Do we want to save the money up? I think what I will do is I'll create another colonization fleet because I want to definitely show you how to create fleets here in this episode. We might look at designing a ship later on. I know that the default ships are not set up to be like the best ever ships, and you can spend a lot of time trying to min-max those. I'm not really a min-max kind of guy. I just spend some time doing it, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to find out if I could add one little laser on my ship to make it, that much more powerful. I don't know if it's worth the time, trouble, and effort. But anyways, fleets here. So when I'm on a system, when I clicked on a system, we're going to have access to our planets, we're going to have access to our fleets, and we also have our system system overview here with all of our different planets on it. There's also 3 different buttons here. One is the build ships, there's a open repairs dialog box, and opens the fleet manager. So what we want to do is we want to click on this little nut and bolt one here, and we want to build us some ships. Obviously, whichever system you've got highlighted is where the ships are going to build. So if I come over here to Gamma and I click on this, this is where the ships are going to be built. So first thing is make sure you're clicked on the system that you want to be working on. So click on the system and then click on the build ships. So this is basically your ship invoice screen. I don't know exactly what its technical term is called. Over here on the left hand side you will see all of the different ships that you currently have access to. So we have an armor ship, which you can see what it looks like, how much the upkeep is, how much the ship costs. You can see this ship costs 81,000, and how much it's going to cost in construction, 7,550. Our upkeep, and if it's in reserve, how much. And we'll talk about the difference between these two when the time comes. And how many have been produced and how many have been destroyed. It talks about the FTL node speed, the top speed, the turning speed, the thrust, and the mass. You can see your information here down in the bottom right about the system. Production is 9,406. So you can see that this ship is going to cost me 7,550. 550. So basically I could build one of these ships every turn with this system because I have enough production to do that. Might not have enough money, but I have enough production to do it. Shows you your supply, your energy, your crew, if it has any special, it's got a heavy driver, you can get a lot of information about that. It shows that it's got any additional supplies or any extra compartments, all the available weapons and engines and all kinds of things. And you can see, of course, when we switch over to a supply ship, totally different numbers, different looking ship. Alright, so anytime you build a fleet, every fleet that you create must have a command ship. And I don't think that has been changed ever. I think all the races, every fleet needs a command ship. So we're definitely going to build a command ship. So we want to click on command and click on add to invoice. Oops. We want to, let's just go back and cancel. Oops. Go back and say okay. Let's go back and do this again. One more time. Alright, command, add to invoice. So you can see it added a command ship. I didn't actually see that it added that up at the top. Shows you that it's a CR is your cruiser rating. I believe I was saying carrier rating earlier. It's a cruiser rating, so those people that probably bitched and moaned and complained on the last episode and said, oh, you kept saying it's a carrier and it's a cruiser. CR is a cruiser rating. Okay, so my mistake on that. It shows you how long it's going to take to build and the savings cost. Okay, that's kind of weird. So you need a command ship. We're going to make a colonizing fleet. So we're going to need some colonizing ships, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 of those suckers to our list. So we got a command ship, we got 2 colonizers, and we're going to need a supply ship that will help supply the fleet as they travel through space. So add that. Now you can also name your ships individually. Come in here, instead of command, we can call this, you know, Big I, or whatever you want to call them, or you can just click on random names and it'll give them random names. I think I like random names a lot better myself, but you do whatever you want. And then once you're done with this, you can then submit the order, and it will tell you how many turns. Approximately, it's going to take 4 turns. $483,000. Now you know we only have 500,000 right off the bat, so you can see that you can go through money pretty quickly in this game. So you definitely want to keep a good close eye on your economy. So we'll go ahead and submit that order because I want to get another colonization fleet up as soon as possible. Now when you're done with this, it'll ask you if you want to enter an invoice name, and I will say yes. And what I will do is say this is a colony fleet. So the next time I can just bring this up, add this to my favorites, and I'll say okay. So next time I want to build a,
we must increase the fleet.
next time I want to build a colony fleet, I can just click on the favorite invoices. I can click on that. You can see I have my colony fleet. I can just click on that and drag it down here. It'll put these ships in there, and I'll be able to just have that same fleet I just created, a new invoice for it, and be able to pop it out without having to recreate it from scratch every time. So that's a really cool thing. Last but not least, I'm just going to show you this very quickly. Like I said, we're not going to actually design a brand new ship right now. I just want to show you kind of what we got going on here. So right click actually brings the ship into view, There's basically 3 different parts to each ship: the front, the middle, and the back. Okay, that was pretty tough. And it shows you what your armor rating is, and you can see all your different weapons on this ship. And so if I click on this weapon here, I can say, you know what, I don't want it to have a gauze cannon. Maybe I want it to have a heavy driver instead. And you can see that it's changed it to a heavy driver. Or maybe I want it to have a particle beam. Let's put particle beams on all of these. Particle beam, particle beam. Alright. And maybe these ones on the right hand side, we don't have a module. There's different modules. You can add marines. So you could then board from this ship onto another disabled ship. This is going to be extra crew in case your crew gets destroyed. This is for extra supplies, and that's no module at all. And of course, there's lots of different options in here. That's why I didn't want to really go into it too much right now. But you can design your own ship, and then you can actually test her out on the firing module, the firing test. So you can then see your ship. You can see the right side is your shields and your armor. Or blue is shields. I believe green is armor. There's obviously 4 different sides to the ship: the bottom, the top, the left, and the right. And you can then target and see how well your ship does. You can see that we've changed those cannons into these beam weapons. And you can see how often they are shooting. It looks like they're shooting some kind of projectile on the front. And the beam weapons. So maybe I might need to add some more energy to this ship to give it quicker firing. You can also fire out the left side and the right side. Let's click out the left side. You can see how the turrets actually have to rotate over. You can see we're only shooting, looks like 2 bullets, or 2 little what's diggies here? Projectiles, I guess. 2 projectiles. And our major cannons there. There they go, finally. Now you can do the same thing on the back and on the right side. So you can basically test out your little designs that you, let's see, fire 5 missiles this way. This shows you your, oops, zoom out a little bit. This shows you your command radius, your attack radius for each of your different weapons. You can see how far they can shoot. You can turn them LV, DN, CR, PD. Fire 20 missiles. Alright, so we can see we've got missiles coming in to attack us here. Here they come. Whole bunch of missiles. You can see how much damage is taken. How much you're preventing. So, you know, definitely a lot to play around with there. A lot to check out. Lots of analyzing whether or not you need to have more armor, less armor, more weapons, what kind of weapons, what kind of range you're looking at. So you can obviously see our one weapon shoot out a lot farther than our other weapons. So I'm certainly not an expert at building the best ships in the game. But we'll definitely look at trying to upgrade some of them, and when we get the proper technologies, we might do that. I think right now, probably good enough to at least do okay. We got our, basically this is like our fighter, our supply ship, our command ship, our scout, colonizer, and our constructors. These are all the different kinds we have. Currently, we have assault shuttles. Okay. You can figure out, and there's all kinds of data you can get on these things. Let's go back to let's just click on this ship here and see if we can get some more data. I know there's screens and screens and screens and screens and screens of them. Let's see if I can. Maybe I have to actually build the ship first. Alright, just by clicking on this, you can see the gauze cannon, what its arc of fire is, how much energy it takes, base rate of fire, and bursts per minute. So you can get 15 bursts per minute. This is going to be the base population damage. This reflects the loss of life that will occur on the target colony. Base infrastructure damage. This reflects the amount of damage done to the buildings. And this is how much is done to the terraforming. So I have to definitely research and find out what these. There's different beams here. So we got the green beamer. So we only get 10 bullets or 10 bursts per minute. We got the, what is this sucker? This is the green laser. We get 17.1. The red laser gives us 17.1. The purple laser, or UV laser, gives us 17.1. Okay, so you can actually tell it, give it different commands. So this would be like attack anywhere. I'm not sure what this one is. Concentration fire. Okay. So you can set up your ships all kinds of different ways. Alright. Lastly, we're going to have to let these ships build, and we'll talk about setting up a brand new fleet, which we'll do here in an upcoming episode. And I think we've pretty much covered everything we need to cover on the pre-setup before turn number 1. So I think we're ready to actually play the game next episode. We talked about research. We talked about our 41,000. That's pretty good savings, but you notice at the end of the turn we're going to have less money than we started with, and that's because we're spending a lot of money on building that new fleet. Research is 21 turns now, so let's take that back to 20, which means we're even saving less money. Yep. Okay. So big balance. Big balancing act of trying to manage your resources, manage your economy, manage your money, managing your fleets. I guess you just need to be a manager. We'll see you next time, folks. Thanks for watching.